Hi everyone, Matt Bernier, Dan Illman taking a look back at the Athenia from Belmont Park this past Saturday here on Weekend Wrap. Heavy favorite coming into the race was Off Limits for Chad Brown on the heels of a 105 Beyer speed figure earned in the Noble Damsel. And guess what? She backed it up, maybe not quite as brilliantly as she did in the most recent start. They break from the gate. You're going to see Juno, a horse that's normally running in Southern California. She tried Laurel most recently, had a little bit of a stumble early on. Not so here, but the problem is even for Junior Alvarado, a wizard on the turf, she's just very, very keen in pulling.
That's been the story of Juno's career. She's got that hot Brazilian blood, and she went early, and she pulled, and Puca's sitting in second, and lo and behold, Joel Rosario has Off Limits in a really nice spot. Just pulling into fourth right now, 2 long shots making out the pace. He has got to be very comfortable where Off Limits is right now.
Mid-pack in the orange with the blue sleeves, that's Off Limits. Down on the inside, just to his inside, about 2 paths in on the rail, you have My Impression for Shug McGahee, a filly that has always been decent enough, but maybe you always questioned if she was truly top caliber. With this trip right now, you've got to be feeling pretty good if you're in that position at 7-1 as well.
This is a very comfortable spot right now. There's going to be a point on the turn where Off Limits gets in front of My Impression, and she has to wait a bit, but you'll see when they swing in the stretch. She eases outside the eventual winner, has every chance in the lane, but just can't get there. Let's look at the back of the pack. The 2 horses, Alicia's World and the Teal Silks, and just to the outside, I believe that's Pen Jade, both trained by Chad Brown. Alicia's World's going to be bottled up a little bit while Pen Jade comes wide. They both make a slight late impression.
And see the fractions, 24-2, 48-3, 12-3 for 3/4. Meanwhile, rolling up on the outside, Joel Rosario is riding Off Limits as if he's on a Cadillac. Hasn't asked her for a step at this point. And again, with the pace in this situation, it looks like he's got a ton of horse. Things get a little bit dicey at the end, though.
Certainly, when My Impression comes to the outside, there's Time and Motion trying to gear away. You see LEC's World in that Teal Silks. She's got to alter course down to the inside. Pen Jade just took a bump on the outside. But once Rosario starts pumping on Off Limits, she always finds a little bit more. This was another impressive performance for a mare that's kind of come out of nowhere in the Chad barn, and I guess it's because Chad has so many that she's been under the radar for so long.
Off Limits prevails as the 9-10 favorite. She pays $3.90 on top. My Impression for Sugar in second, $6.30 to place. Elyse's World, one of the other Chad Brown runners in this spot, $3.20 to show. If you play the exacta for $1, 12.30, 50-cent try comes back $14.25. Off Limits is back-to-back graded stakes wins right now for Chad Brown and Martin Schwartz, the owner, Joel Rosario, the rider. She is now over $450,000 in earnings, 6 wins from 16 lifetime starts. She is a nice horse, middle distances, mile and a 16th. Really seems to be her game. I still have reservations about what her actual top ceiling is. I think this is about as good as we're going to get.
I agree. I don't think she's a true grade 1 type, and you have to remember she's going to turn 6 on January the 1st. She's already an extremely valuable broodmare prospect. I'm not sure if Chad's going to want to go on with the 2018 campaign, but her last 2 races, you can't really knock that big kick last time out from the back of the pack. Much more tactically placed this time around, and really, once the button was pushed, she only won by a neck, but she probably could have won by a little bit more.
My Impression for Shug, this is kind of what she is. She's always going to come with a little bit of an effort. Sometimes good enough, sometimes it's not. I've always questioned if she's actually graded stakes caliber after her 3-year-old year. Here we are as a 4-year-old. I still have those questions.
I think we're a little bit disappointed by what we've seen from her in 2017, because it looked like she was going to have a breakthrough year based on what she did as a 3-year-old filly. For the most part, this was a comfortable trip. Yes, she was in behind Off Limits at about the 3/16 pole, but again, once she eased outside that horse, she had every chance in the lane and just couldn't get there. Again, she's going to be 5 next year, valuable broodmare prospect already. It's hard to sort of project where these horses are going to end up.
Of the other 2 Chads in here, Elyse's World and Pen Jade, they were in 3rd and 4th. Of the 2, they're both 4-year-olds. Which one would you prefer going forward?
Boy, I think Alicia's World had the worst trip. The problem is she's Alicia's World, and she always seems to find 1 or 2 better at the end of the day. I think Pen Jade, who was coming into this race off a little bit of a winning streak, this was the first time that she was really tested for class. She came with a good run. I wonder if there's a grade 3 in her future. She's not going to be Lady Eli. She's not going to be the leading star of Chad's barn anytime soon, but I wonder if there's a race for her, and I don't think she has to come from 100 out of it.
As far as Time and Motion is concerned, I didn't see much of an excuse here. It looked like she was sitting dead red, and she just didn't come on with anything.
Johnny V gave her a perfect ride. He sat right behind Off Limits. He tried to follow that one turning into the stretch, and she was just one-paced. And talk about a filly that's had a disappointing 2017. You could make the argument that Time and Motion was one of the best, if not the best, 3-year-old filly turf runner in 2016, and it just hasn't come back. I thought that maybe second time off the layoff, stretching out slightly in distance, she would do a little bit better. This was just an even performance, and it just might be time that she is indicating according to Jimmy Toner, it's time to be a broodmare.
Took Chad Brown a little while to figure out off limits to get her to this sort of peak level, but she is finally here. She's run off back-to-back graded stakes victories. She wins the Athenia at Belmont with a 97 buyer.